Welcome everyone. We're just getting ready to start. Our presentation today is fascinating behaviors. Need some work here. Anyway, our two presenters are Sarah Hepler and Grace Troey. They are Wyandotte County Master Gardeners, but also Johnson County Master Naturalists. And they've been working on a bluebird project and have learned lots of good things to share with you today.
Okay, Grace and I have been working, monitoring bluebirds out at Wyandotte County Lake for probably the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Together. It's a lot of fun, a lot of adventure.
There are a lot of boxes at the lake. Somebody handles the west side of the lake. We team up with another pair of women and do the east side. There are a lot of boxes.
So we have 20 boxes
We
that
have
we
20
do
boxes.
every other week. Not all of them produce.
Some of them have not produced anything
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't seen eggs in some of them in 3 years, so we're questioning if we need to talk to, change
the
the
powers that be.
orientations, move the boxes, whatever.
And Sarah will get into that later about ideal locations, and some of these really are not in ideal locations. And you can tell it because the birds have said, no. So,
Okay, are we ready?
yeah.
Okay, so this is an example of a juvenile eastern bluebird.
You want to kill the lights?
Yes,
There we
somebody
go.
turn off the lights, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm amazed because I didn't realize they were thrushes, and they spot just like immature robins. So identifying bluebirds, there are 3 species. The male eastern bluebird, which is in the upper corner. He's got the full red breast and the blue back. You may not always see them as blue. Many times what Grace and I are doing, I'll spot this gray bird flying away, and just because it's kind of short and, well, not really short because it's about the same size as a robin, but it's stocky. I'll go, hey Grace, we've got the adults nearby, which is one of the observations we have to record. In the lower corner is the female. She is more subtle. The blue that she has is on her wing tips.
And you'll see one later on in the nest. You can see that better. The blue on her back.
Okay, so the western bluebird has the blue bib. His blue on his face comes down into his chest area, and then it looks like he's wearing that red or rust-colored vest. The female's more plain. She doesn't have that. Mountain bluebirds are a lighter shade of blue, and they're all blue. They don't have the rust color. Well, we're getting to that slide, Grace. So, Kansas has all 3 species of bluebirds. Here in eastern Kansas, we have eastern bluebirds, and they are year-round residents. In the wintertime, however, bluebirds from more northern states also come in. Western bluebirds are found in the extreme southwest corner, and they're year-round residents. And finally, mountain bluebirds are here in Kansas along the western edges in the wintertime. You know, It's a little warmer, I guess, at the lower elevations in Kansas. Frequently asked questions. Okay, bluebirds are members of the thrush family, so they're related to robins. And like their cousins, they feed on insects, mostly beetles and caterpillars, but they're great for kind of helping with the insects in your gardens. They prefer open areas with trees along the edge. They are not a forest bird. And in nature, they live in cavities that were excavated by woodpeckers and have been abandoned, but they are readily adapted to nest boxes. In the middle of the 20th century, so probably beginning in the 1920s, as people spread out, and particularly in the 50s, as suburbs grew up, bluebirds lost a lot of their habitat. And the reasons they lost it is that the suburbs grew. Older orchards replaced the older trees, which were prone to rotting, with these new dwarf species that didn't rot as well. Fence posts, a favorite nesting place of bluebirds, were replaced with metal fences, plastic fences, and people started cutting down old trees and not keeping snags around, since snags are dangerous. And in the early 19th century, the European starling and the house sparrow were introduced because people from England missed them. Efforts to conserve them, bluebirds started mid-century. I think 1960s was the really big push when they started putting up bluebird houses. Nesting boxes were developed, and at first they started, putting up nesting boxes, and they found that bluebirds liked certain parameters. And a man named, I can't remember his first name, Peterson in Minnesota developed a plan for bluebird houses that have slanting roofs, narrow openings, a way that you can open the box and not disturb the birds as much. And so one of the most famous designs is the Peterson box. And I believe that he gave the plans to the Audubon Society. What did I miss? Okay, another, the nesting boxes are now built to discourage wrens, sparrows, and tree swallows, which are also cavity nesters.
We will touch on that.
Yeah. The next slide that I missed the word in is bluebird trails were started. So Wyandotte County has a bluebird trail. Sunflower Golf.
Bluebird. We have a guest.
Which golf?
Sunflower, down by the Ag Hall.
Right.
They have a bluebird trail.
Ag Hall is going to
Ag
have one.
Hall is going to have one. Grace and I need to work on that with Lynn and Dale.
It's been started.
And because bluebirds are very adaptive to houses, they have become one of conservation's success stories. From being so rare that in places like Minnesota and Wisconsin, you rarely sight them, I believe yesterday I heard that they are up to 20 million. Whatever. They are up quite a ways. They are like a 7 out of 20 on concerns for the species. They're nowhere near where they were before the 1900s, but you can see bluebirds now. Bluebirds, so to attract them to your yard, you need at least a 50-foot open area. They need either trees with cavities in them, so old trees, or nesting boxes. I'm very lucky. I have a lot of bluebirds at my property. I have 7 acres, and we don't go into the woods and cut the trees down. So we have, I don't have any bluebird boxes in my yard. Last winter I saw 9 male bluebirds at my bird bath because my husband last year decided we would put in a heater for the bird bath. Bluebirds have excellent eyesight, and they hunt by perching in trees, and they can spot insects from like 50 feet in the air. But they do like to be on like lower trees or fence lines when they hunt, and they'll just go in and pounce. They prefer the grass to be low rather than having high grass, and you need to have water available in your bird bath year-round. So during the winter you need to have a heated bird bath, and it also helps if that water moves, so if you have a bubbler or a fountain. Okay, so typically we don't find bluebirds in the backyard because their beaks are not suited to cracking open hard seeds. But again, you can attract them with bird baths. You can have a platform feeder and put out fresh or dried mealworms. If you use the dried ones, it sometimes helps if you spray them with moisture so they look plumper. And if you plant native plants or plants that have berries in the wintertime, because in the wintertime, that's what they eat. There's no insects around, so they'll eat berries. They also
go ahead. Excuse me.
They also like suet with berries in it.
So you're seeing them in the wintertime?
Yes, yes.
Because I thought that they migrated down.
Kansas has bluebirds year-round. So more northern states in Canada, they migrate down. They're kind of called partial migrators because some stay, some go farther south, kind of like people. Some of us like warm winters and not the cold ones.
It's kind of like the mountain bluebirds migrate to the western edges of Kansas during the wintertime. I'm also getting to be a more laissez-faire gardener. If I see a plant that is eaten up with caterpillars, I'm a lot less quick to try to get rid of them because caterpillars are a mainstay, especially for the young ones.
Okay, bluebird boxes should have an entry hole of no larger than 1.5 inches in diameter. However, they have now been engineering bluebird boxes, and one of the newest designs is not a round hole, it's a narrow slot. And supposedly the narrow slot discourages house sparrows from
Tree swallows too.
and tree swallows too from nesting in the boxes because house sparrows don't like to be crowded. Also, house sparrows like a wider box and a deeper box. So your interior for bluebirds should be no wider than 4 by 4 And then from the opening, maybe 5 to 6 inches deep. So this is an example of Wyandotte County Lake, one of the bluebird boxes
That's
there.
probably Peterson box.
Yeah. And if you notice, on the front entrance, they have a wire cage. That is a way of keeping raccoons, squirrels, snakes out.
I had to do that on mine.
So that's called a predator guard. Another way you can guard is with a collar that you attach at the hole, and the collar has a tunnel that comes out. So it's maybe about that.
We're going to have a picture, and they can be homemade.
And that discourages sparrows again. And I think it discourages wrens.
Sarah,
Yes.
so if we look up Peterson nesting box, they'll have the same dimensions, or is this new?
This
Peterson
is
box has been around
Peterson.
for
Oh, it
a long
is,
time.
okay.
Yeah, Peterson's, I think it was in the early 70s that he gave his plans to Audubon. If you go to the Audubon site, you can get a Peterson box design. In fact, I have a copy if you can persuade.
Was the Rex box part of the handouts?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. Now, the Rex box handout that
Kind
you
of
got,
weird one.
that is the one that master naturalists in Johnson County use. And Rex is a master naturalist from Johnson County, and he builds them. We are able to order Rex boxes.
Can be ordered.
Oh, another thing about the house, the inside needs to be rough. So you want it roughs on, because when the fledglings leave, they need those rough edges to help them crawl out. So, nesting habits. Male bluebirds entice the female. They start the nest. They put down that little base layer, and they'll select several different sites. Then they'll perch on top of the box, the nesting box, and do wing waves, which are really cute to watch. I did not get a video of that. And in that picture, that's one of my pictures. Anything not cited, with the exception of the very first picture, or pictures I've taken, that was with my cell phone, sliding it into the box and hoping I got a picture. So that's a brooding mother.
Trying not to disturb the family life while we're at it.
So and bluebirds start showing, migrating north in January. So they become more active here in Kansas in January. And the males will start searching for sites, and then, a little bit later the females come out and look around, and they are the ones who pick what the site is. And then she will finish the nest, and it is a beautiful nest. It's like little tightly woven cup shape, and it's neat and clean, as opposed to a sparrow nest, which has all kinds of garbage in it. Or a wren nest, which is a bunch of twigs. And once the nest is complete and the female knows that there are insects around to provide her young, she will begin to lay her eggs.
So, question. So I should leave those grassy dead things out over the winter so that they have something to start building the nest with?
Yeah. Yeah.
My neighbors are gonna love me.
Hey, it's the dot. Okay, once she has started laying eggs, she'll lay from 2 to 7 eggs, and older bluebirds lay more eggs. So if you've only got 2 eggs, it's probably a very young bird. Once she has completed her clutch, she will begin to incubate the eggs, and it takes from 11 to 19 days to hatch the egg. I saw several different scales for that, and I finally decided that based on the site that I was looking for, where it was produced, the longer, because some of them set up to 21 days, must be more northern. Because I think it was Minnesota and Pennsylvania that had like 21 days. But 11 to 19 days for the eggs to hatch. And once they hatch, then it's only 15 to 21 days here in the Kansas City area for the birds to go from naked little birds to fully feathered fledglings who can fly.
When we go on the route, it's about a month cycle between the first eggs we see and when we will be cleaning the finished, used up nest out of the box so we can have a fresh start.
Okay, also bluebirds will have, on an average, 2 to sometimes 4 broods. And the 4 broods are more, the farther south you get, the more broods, because you have a longer season. So this is what they look like when they first hatch. So, how to get, so for a checklist on your birdhouse, do you have an open space? As I said, at least 50 feet. A bluebird will stake out 2 acres from which to hunt.
So will that 50 feet support just one nest?
Yes.
Okay.
So to position or set up your thing, and you need at least 50 feet of clearing around the box. Boxes need to be 100 yards apart because bluebirds are very territorial and they will not let other bluebirds in the same area. However, some people recommend putting up 2 boxes 50 to 100 feet apart so that you can encourage other species to use one box and leave one for the bluebirds.
What other species?
Any cavity nester, sparrows, wrens, tree swallows. Grace and I once saw a goldfinch fly into a bluebird box. Nobody else believes us, but we both saw it.
Both saw it. Chickadees will.
Chickadees will, and sparrows are very aggressive. They will destroy bluebird eggs. European starlings will nest, and they will also destroy bluebird eggs.
When we are monitoring boxes, we are allowed to destroy nests of any introduced invasives. We can get the house sparrows out. We have to leave chickadees because they are a native species, and we have to leave bluebirds.
And
I believe
tree swallows
those are
are native.
tree
We have to leave
swallows.
those.
So, yeah.
The 2 that I know of that are introduced are the European starling and the house swallow. You can take that, destroy that nest. You can destroy the eggs. You can get rid of the
Clean it
young.
up.
Burn down the house.
Well, no, you don't want to burn down the house. Just clean it.
That's the
Hey,
process.
Sarah,
That's
so do you guys clean out after every brood?
Yes.
If
And
you
I've
could
always
see how
cleaned-
nasty those nests were,
Well,
you'd know
well-
why they don't reuse them.
Yeah, because I've just always cleaned mine out like, late winter, but I never clean out after that. So and I have bluebirds and I have all of that perfect setting but I don't see them going back to the nesting box. So that's why.
Okay, if it's a bluebird nest, they are a lot cleaner. Male bluebirds will pick up the fecal sacs and fly them off and fly them away so that they're not attracting
Yeah, I mean,
predators.
it only
So,
usually has the
yeah.
nesting stuff in
Bluebirds
there,
are
but
pretty clean. The
nesting
other
stuff.
birds are really
nasty.
dirty, and they leave their fecal materials all
We
over.
have cleaned out nests before, and I remember one of the first times you put that all in the garbage, in the grocery sack, and we left it in the foot of the car, and suddenly the lady that was in that spot was going,
Oh my.
they're full of mites.
So,
They're clean, but they're full of mites.
you don't necessarily have to clean out the bluebird nest every time, but it does decrease the amount of parasites, and there are mites and other parasites in the nest. So to give them the healthiest chance.
So what constitutes cleaning them? Do you have to get rid of like bacteria?
No.
Spray, water? and
You
clean
just get
Get
the
rid of the
whole
junk.
nest out. Then at the end of the season, you give it more of a
Okay,
cleaning. You do not want to
Just
use
spray it.
household chemicals.
right, yeah.
You don't want to use pesticides.
Should I assume that you wear gloves and long sleeves?
Gloves are
Gloves.
recommended.
Okay,
We don't wear long sleeves.
okay, and what about, you hear this about bird flu. How cautious do you have to be because of that?
And it's my understanding that
Hazmat suit-
waterfowl,
Hazmat suit comes to
like
mind.
the Canada geese and ducks, are more likely to give you bird flu
Okay,
than these.
And one of the cautions when we were cleaning out the nest is make sure you know which direction the breeze is blowing from.
So that you're not
There's a lot of
breathing
dust, and
dust.
I would never wear a mask if I was worried about a breezy day and doing much cleaning.
But most of the time,
Most of
Get
the time we don't mess with it, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you were going to be careful,
So,
just mostly from the dust.
and if, when you're monitoring, and this is something Grace and I didn't realize till we started investigating the bluebirds, is the mother bluebird tends to lay her eggs in the morning. So it's better to check your boxes in the afternoon. So Grace and I are gonna have to adapt our behavior for that. Because I like to be out in the morning.
Especially when it's 100 degrees
Yeah.
in the afternoon.
So, moving on, so 100 yards apart, or set them up so they don't see each other. If you want to attract other bluebirds to the nest. If you're putting it there, and many sites tell you it's okay to put two out at least 50 feet apart for providing a home for those competitors. The height of your birdhouse should be at least 4 feet off the ground. It should be at your eye level, so it's easier for you to check.
Okay, you've both been to my house, I've got that pasture there. If I was to put one box in the backyard and another one in the front yard along that pasture line, would that be separated enough? Or-
Possibly, because they wouldn't be able
Depends on
to see it.
whether they
Okay.
could. They'll
then-
tell you.
If I fastened the house to the fence, probably not a good idea considering how many raccoons run. Okay, so I need a separate pole. Yeah, okay.
Although bluebirds used to nest in fence posts. Okay, your entrance should face away from the prevailing winds and weather and avoid direct sunlight. Now, some of the sites I went to said that bluebirds prefer an east-facing house. And some places would give you what's the word I'm looking for? What recommendations for what direction to pick, and it was always east, north, south, and then west. But
So
for the Kansas City area, all the sites that were local said east.
And yet our best box with the most nests in it faces northwest.
See, mine
So,
faces
yeah.
due north.
That's their second
Okay,
preferred one.
okay.
Think of the babies, and
Just
on those
protection.
100-degree days, if you've got sunlight coming in that entry hole, it's going to be even hotter. We have
direct-
cleaned dead baby birds out of nests before. We try to avoid
Direct
that.
sunlight can raise the interior temperature of a house 5 degrees or more. Yeah, heat will kill these birds. Your opening should also face a tree, and that was one of the things about our most successful one is it faced a tree. That was a great tree. I don't know how many times we've had the adults dive bomb us to where we're going. And it's really cool because when they dive bomb, you hear this click, 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 click. And the first time I heard it, I thought, what is that? And then all of a sudden there was this bird on my head.
They get close. They get right in your hair.
So you want to have a tree or a bush, but not a huge bush.
Oh,
Nearby,
within 100 feet,
Yeah.
okay. That's
Because-
I was like,
yeah.
I have the garden, but there's, trees
The
out there.
little ones also, you need also that coverage where when they're starting to fledge, they're coming out of that box and they're going, where do I go? And they need places.
Yeah, there is
And
a tree.
yeah, they need a place to perch once
Yeah.
they've come out because fledglings don't leave. They stay around for a week or two, and Mom and Dad will feed them. Okay, a predator guard is a must. So either a collar, and I explained the collar to you before, it's a little attachment you can put on the hole. Besides protecting from predators, and also squirrels and woodpeckers like to peck those holes bigger.
That's what
So
happened.
that is
That's what happened in my hole. That's why it
mhm.
has the wire cage on it now, which stopped that.
Okay, and why did we put that picture in the middle of the? We were
I didn't think it was when I.
okay. So it just says to discourage squirrels and raccoons. They can reach in and grab. House sparrows, wrens, and then for snakes, this is the snake guard that's in Wyandotte County and Johnson County.
Can I show details on that?
Yes,
You see the whole thing there? That's PVC pipe.
Right?
It's not that big. They've put a collar around the pole and driven screws in through the pipe.
and you want that at
And it just
least.
kind of
4
wobbles
feet.
and balances.
Oh, okay, I thought it was stationary.
Oh, you
so
don't
that-
want it
That
stationary. The
makes
snakes
sense,
will
'cause
figure
I was
that
like,
out.
what good is that gonna do? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you want it at least 4 feet above, the top of it 4 feet above the ground.
How
Because that
long
makes
are
it
your black
harder
snakes?
for the squirrels
How
to
wide?
jump
How
up.
long are your black snakes?
Oh,
Oh,
6
well,
foot.
I was also thinking for raccoons and.
Raccoons and stuff.
Another type of snake guard is similar to that, but it has like a stovepipe top that is off balance. Oh. Excuse me.
I have a question about this.
Yes.
So I have bluebird boxes too, and I saw the whole life cycle of the bluebirds. It was so fun to watch them. And then something got them, it was horrible. They got the babies, scooped them out, and they were, whatever, gone. So I put a baffle kind of on springs, I think, on the pole, and I put the wire tunnel thing toward the hole. And I have never, it's been a couple of years and I haven't, do they remember that their relative was slaughtered there?
I doubt it.
I don't know, but.
I doubt it.
They
I haven't
might,
been back ever since then, my heart's sick.
they might, because, what I had read, was that the fledglings will come back to the area where they were born. The mating pair will come back to the same territory.
But I know something got mine because there were blue feathers on the ground. So that's when I put the guard on there, and I put it on, because I have two, like you said, because number one, sometimes he might go to both of them, but she chooses typically this one over here. And smart woman. And, but they have come back, so.
Do bluebirds mate for life? Or do we
I
have
think they
Really
made
teach
at
you
least
them.
for the whole season.
Oh, well, that's
That would
kind
be
of them.
typical of a lot of migrating birds.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
That would
So
be typical of a
I
lot
did
of
not
migrating
see
birds.
that
Let's see.
information presented anywhere
'Cause I know
that they
doves,
made it
like-
for life, but that they did
House does
mate
made
for.
for life, so that's the only one that I know of, but I'm sure there's others.
So, and you want to keep ants out because they will irritate the babies and make it more difficult to survive. You don't want a wasp nest in your birdhouse. Both Grace and I have been stung more than once by wasps or hornets as we've checked the nest. The first time I got stung, it was like I had a little knot in my leg for a year.
Believe me, 6 foot away is not long enough to clear out wasp nests.
And you cannot use
You can't use wasp spray.
Walking stick with
Yeah,
your
you
nectar.
can't use
Yeah,
wasp.
what's that end?
It was printed for me. It's just like the little paint scraper. It just, yeah.
clever husband.
It's somebody with a
Okay.
3D printer, yeah.
3D printer.
But 6 feet was not enough away.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's scary to open the boxes.
Can you go in the evening maybe when they're quieter?
Well, then they'd
Could.
be in the nest,
Then
but
they'd be in
sometimes you can tell that there's going to be a wasp nest. A lot of times when we look at the nest, we look and see if there's cobwebs around.
There are no birds there.
We're pretty sure there's no birds. We do still open it. If there's wasps flying nearby or if there's part of a nest hanging out. So just be observant. Like I said, the one that stung me through my jeans.
We've got some aggressive ones.
It was aggressive,
Well, for good reason.
but
We're killing their babies.
Killing their babies.
Yeah. They will, they will nest underneath the boxes. They're not the problem to the birds as they are to the people that are checking. If you're only looking in now and then, you probably will deal with some wasp nests. These boxes are checked every week, and you'd be amazed how big a nest they could build in a week.
now I have read that you can rub the sides of the box with soap to discourage.
I brought the
Okay,
illustration. It just takes
discourage
apart.
wasps from making nests.
We'll make
I
some
would
slack.
think you could rub the top of the nest.
You probably could.
And what does that discourage?
Soaked wasps.
Wasps. They don't want
They
to make
need
nests.
something they can stick to. You're making it slick.
Oh,
So if you make it slick, but you need the rough,
inside.
For the babies.
yeah, for the babies.
I also heard the other day that you can put, like, just take a plastic cup and put a small amount of gasoline in it and put it up underneath the wasp nest, and it basically knocks them out to where you can get it down.
Okay, as the Johnson County Master Naturalist,
Of course, you could always set it on fire.
I would not recommend the gasoline.
You know, if there are no babies in there, you're not worried
Yeah,
about
and-
gassing
well,
them
that's
off.
what-
I worry
that's-
about the gasoline.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dump it in there, but I'm just saying, yeah, if it's just the wasp nest scenario.
There is a way to do it with carbon dioxide. If you have a carbon dioxide canister
Oh.
and you hook up something to it, carbon dioxide knocks out all bugs. So
Oh, that's
it
cool.
like to
And
collect.
that's probably the effect of the gasoline.
Do they have an
I guess.
8-foot hose on it?
I just saw a guy who made a little contraption with a hose that hooks up to the tank, but it's pretty expensive, so it's not.
Yeah,
bet it
it's
is.
pricey.
By the time the wasps are nesting in it, usually our birds are pretty much done for the season. We can knock out small nests and kind of keep it down, but the wasps don't come in until birds are really kind of.
Yeah.
Vacated.
Yeah. It's empty boxes that have the wasp.
Do the birds not eat the wasp?
Currently not. We've seen active nests in boxes.
'Cause I would think that would be an easy meal for them.
I would think so too.
Huh.
Okay, so, fun facts. Once bluebirds hatch, the parents fly in and out. Had a range of from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. And I'm going 20 minutes, 4 to 6 birds. No, it's going to be more like 5 minutes, I'm thinking. But you can watch them flying in and out. Again, the bluebirds, and I think it's the male that takes that responsibility to remove the fecal sacs. It is the bird poop, and it's in a sack, and it's solid, and they just pick it up in their mouth and fly it away.
Cool. It's pretty cool.
Most bluebirds live 2 to 3 years. However, the oldest bluebird recorded was 10 years old. And another thing, bluebirds, like blue jays, have no blue pigment in their feathers. Like they could eat blueberries, but the blue pigment is digested and destroyed, so that they have. So why are
It's a structural.
It's a structural adaptation.
Which is also why frequently I don't see the birds, because where they are is not reflecting the beautiful bright blue down to my eye. I'm simply.
And the way it works is
Kind of
there's
like yellow
spaces.
finches in the spring, you don't see them because they're not that yellow. But now theirs would have to be in the feathers, right?
Yeah.
So they molt off.
What it is bluebird feathers have a lot of space between them, and there are devices in their skin that absorb all the light colors except blue. And therefore you have the blue reflection. And so some of our internet resources, Kansas Department of Parks and Wildlife, if you go there, there is also you can go, and if you want to set up a bluebird trail, they have resources. One of their naturalists, they set up a foundation to help people conserve bluebirds, and you can apply for a grant from them. Cornell Lab, all about birds.
Where our pictures came from.
Yeah. The National Audubon Society, and if you want to see what their bluebird house plans look like, and then Johnson County, and you might ask us for that thing. That is a very complicated web address. It's like Johnson County Extension Master Naturalist, and you go www.johnson.ksu.edu.
Yeah.
Extension master naturalists, they have,
Is that on the printout sheet? Did we do a printout sheet of resources?
no, but we
Okay.
could.
We can.
They also, at the Johnson County link, you can go in and you can individuals can record their monitoring of bluebirds, which is then sent to Cornell.
May I speak to Vince's site a little bit?
What?
May I speak to Vince's site?
Sure.
If you go out and Google bluebirdstewards.online, you will come up to a site that was set up by one of Johnson County master naturalists for recording bluebird sightings, bluebird monitoring, that kind of stuff. All of us on the team have a log. You have to set up a login and a password. You can set up your own site on that. It is free. Vince has said it's free for anybody to use. So if you want to monitor your boxes and add that data to this citizen science project, that site is available. I expect there are others also, but this is the one that we use.
I think you can go to Cornell and
Probably another one through
report it
Cornell.
to.
I think this one is reported
Yeah, this one
eventually
does
to
go
Cornell.
to Cornell.
And I'm not sure if it's all the, I am not aware whether it's all the private ones as well as,
Yes.
I know
Yes,
all of
the
them.
private ones as well.
Cool. So it's a good site to work with. If anybody needs instruction on it, we can
We can come
help.
back and do a tutorial on
Yeah,
it.
it won't.
Can you repeat the site again? I got through some of it.
Bluebird Stewards .online.
Oh, okay.
There is no www in front of it. So
Can we fix?
that's the way this line is.
Okay. So, these are the resources I use. The Gardner Bluebird Bird Book, which was from the National Home Gardening Club. How birds work, and that's where I got the information about the feather structures. And Peterson's reference guide. And then our local pocket guide to common Kansas backyard birds. Unfortunately, that one only includes the eastern bluebird, not the western and the mountain.
It's pocket guide. They don't put so much in.
I watched tons of videos. Leslie the Bird Nerd is a really good one. Birdhouse, the Ohio Bluebird Society. Sorry about that. The Pennsylvania Game Commission was really, really good. And then underneath that, it's Penn State Extension, The Secret Life of Bluebirds. That was a good one. But for our area, Mark's Backyard Birds, he's local. And he's done several videos on bluebirds. So what will nest in a bluebird box? We'll tell you about predators or invasive species. His eastern bluebird nesting information and tips was really good. Courtney, Naturally Courtney, I believe that was the one where they told me how old, about the oldest bluebird. And then Oklahoma Gardening, Homes for Nesting. But most of the time when I went to watch bluebird things, I just put in bluebirds and looked at. No, and there were tons. I guess we're done.
Okay.
Questions?
So I've walked around that egg hall, the tree trail that Lynn and Dale are working on. So what is the ultimate plan for that? I thought it was all about trees, but it's about bluebirds too?
We're gonna add bluebirds. And this was something Dale asked Lynn. And it came back to,
Yeah, we checked all the boxes for people to talk to, and they're interested.
Who's over that whole thing? Nobody can tell me.
Dale's headed volunteers.
um,
Because they're doing it.
Yeah.
Judy.
Judy
Judy.
Shelton.
Shelton
Shelton.
is the icon.
Yeah, she's the director.
So if you decide to do that trail, when you face the offices, the Ag Hall offices, it's to the left, whatever direction that is.
South.
But spray yourself. I'm chiggered all the way up to my neck. We got chiggers horribly there. So
Chiggers were bad this year. 'Cause
spray before you go.
And something you can do with chiggers really easy is once you're out of the field, if you immediately just wipe yourself down with a dry towel, it will knock most of them off.
Really?
Sweet.
How about
Okay,
these
bee
ticks
garden
that you
Friday.
can't even see?
Garden on Friday.
I have had,
Seed ticks?
oh Lord, one day I had 12 on me when I came in.
Yeah.
I mean, they're horrible, and they are so tiny.
smaller than a brass
You don't find them
pin
till they
head.
bit you.
Oh, they're like the tip of the pin, the ones I've had. The other day, I had them like, I saw them literally crawling up my arm, and then I still ended up with
Chiggers or
two on me.
ticks?
Ticks.
Ticks, thank you.
And I don't care,
Look
I'm
back.
using the most toxic stuff you can use, and I'm still getting them.
Yeah, those are more difficult because they will crawl on you and stick. I rescued a cat one time, and I think it probably had 1,000 to 2,000 ticks on it.
Oh,
It was
Lord.
ridiculous.
Poor
What I
thing.
did in that situation was put it in a crate and put tape, sticky side up
Sticky.
around the crate, and the next morning the tape was covered in.
My 12-year-old granddaughter, because she always gets after me for hacks, and she goes, and I mentioned the other day, I said, man, I had another tick, and she's like, Grandma, I told you, take sticky double stick tape and put it around
That's
your
kinda what I was
ankles.
thinking,
And
but I
I was
didn't know if it would get
like,
stuck
I'm
up.
about ready to do that.
I think that's
because-
about your only option when it
As long
comes
as you don't brush anything else above your ankles, because ticks will.
Oh, well, I
climb
think I
plants
get it
waiting.
when I'm, my trees primarily, I only have one huge maple in my back, but I have like this half acre and I have these trees all on the perimeter. So when I mow, I think they fall on me.
I've heard that they're more likely to come from the grass.
They're more likely to perch on top of anything tall, grass-like, and then they will actually
On the
follow
west
you.
side, these are the ones.
I believe. They can sense the, I think it's the carbon dioxide, and they'll follow your
About 20
trail.
boxes.
Yeah. Oh, they've been
From
horrible.
week to week.
Well, I sprayed pyrethrin on my hands and let them dry, and that's supposed to last for 6 washings or something.
That's what the military does.
And just
And that seems to work straight away.
I don't have.
I get
kind of
that
stuff
bin, I order that
that site
bins
asks
online and
for.
use it because it's got pyrethrin in it, but it's like,
So this handout
What kind of content?
kind of shows you what kind of nests to look for in your bluebird. And it does tell you which ones you can get rid of. But I'm pretty sure it's only the house sparrow and the European starling.
A couple people now have looked, I'm kind of passing around the field notebook. The front page has the last recording we did. We just carry it so that, we can take it back and put it in on the computer. I think the other members of our team probably record on the spot. I'm not that good with my phone. But we record things like, was there a nest? Who made the nest? Were there eggs? How many eggs?
Did you see the adult?
Did you see the adult present? Was there an adult on the nest? Just basics.
But over your 2 or 3 years, have you seen an increase in the boxes being used or the numbers?
We've been pretty stable.
We've been pretty stable, and the
We have-
boxes have been there
For a
for
long time.
a while because they were put up by the Boy Scouts. It was
So
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at these pictures, a while ago when you were talking about scraping it out, I was trying to visualize, but it's not the top that you lift up, it's a side.
You go in underneath, oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Yep.
that picture of
Yep,
the,
and that lets you get
Chickadee.
underneath the nest and just slide it out.
Yeah,
Mine's a front-
obviously a
front
front
looks up on mine.
opening or a
Yeah.
side opening
Yep.
box is more convenient for cleaning than one that you just lift the top.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how we clean one from the top.
So, I have an
Climb a ladder to see
additional,
in.
this is from the Audubon Society for this type of house. If
We could copy those. if-
we want to make copies of this.
I'm sure it's online too.
Yes,
Yeah.
you go to,
The Audubon Society.
well, okay, this is actually the National Bluebird Society, North American Bluebird Society. So this one is www.nabluebirdsociety.
What makes?
My fault.
It was her fault.
.org, and there's no spaces in that. And
Just kidding.
we had another bluebird house.
You know, I've seen some copies of the Rex box. That was in some of the stuff that was
Yes.
printed. And frankly, I'm going to build one of those. I'd like to put one on my lot. It looks a lot easier to use than the one you saw the picture of. The one you saw the picture of, you have to take the front down, and it's about that wide, and get a picture of the birds. I don't know about your cell phone, but mine is a tight fit in that, and the camera's on one side of it. So the pictures, yeah, it's a little bit of work. You going in one of those sides disturbs the birds less. They're not likely to fly out in your face, which we have had happen. Yeah, so I'm eager to try one of those rectifiers.
So, and we thought we'd leave you with the sound of bluebirds.
Dawn has a question. Sarah?
Don has a question.
Just a piece of information, the state of Iowa has put bluebird boxes on the back of everyone, not every, but a lot of the signs on the interstate. I don't know how many of those are occupied, but there are. If you drive along, you can see the boxes on the opposite side. You can't see the ones in your driving, but you can see the boxes there. So they've tried to do stuff to encourage more bluebird.
I have seen driving down Leavenworth Road, around where the lake is, bluebird boxes up on the telephone poles. They do not recommend that you put a bluebird box on a tree because tree sparrows or tree swallows and wrens like that kind of area. You don't want it too close to a building because that attracts house sparrows. But you could put the bluebird house, 50 feet up. They'll be fine with that.
If you want to go there to clean it.
That might be
What happens if the nest is not cleaned out after the first brood? Do they not?
They will build a nest on top of that.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to figure out who's tending all of these on the interstate.
Yeah, probably not a lot of people.
I wonder. Nobody changes. At my house, nobody cleans out the
And how
bluebird
many
nests in
layers
the
of
trees. I don't even know where the bluebird nests are. I just know where I'm likely to see them during the summer. It's like one of the bends in my driveway is where I've seen them flying around. So.
And how many layers do they have in those tree cavities?
So what stage are we at right now? If we were to check our bluebird, what should we be looking for now? Are they gone?
Season is, we have seen the last of the broods. So we've had 3 out at the lake, and we have cleaned out all of the bluebird boxes. So nesting is from March to mid to late August.
Well, they need a couple of things. They've got to have at least a month from the first egg laid to the last one fledged, at least a month, 6 weeks. They've also got to have a good supply of caterpillars to feed them. And I don't know, I've not noticed that kind of insect activity at my place lately.
And I
Not
think
last
they
month.
wait about a week between the fledglings leaving and starting a new brood.
Is it easy to, I know that a blue jay is supposedly larger. Is it easy to tell the difference between
Oh,
a
yeah.
bluebird and a blue jay?
Yeah,
Different bird.
Hugely.
Oh,
yeah. Different
A
bird
blue jay's
calls.
huge,
yeah, blue jays are huge.
with a huge
Bluebirds
wingspan.
are a stout, round-bellied, upright little bird with kind of a short neck.
And a blue jay is striped,
Yeah.
blue and white and gray, and a bluebird doesn't have that kind of striping. The young are speckled, but other than that, the adults are pretty much solid color.
And an indigo bunting is all blue. but-
Right, and it's a brighter,
Different kind of
darker.
And it's like a teal, a dark teal color.
And they're little.
Yeah.
But I also see the blue jays in the winter.
Yeah, blue jays
So
are around all.
you're not gonna see bluebirds in the winter, you're gonna see blue
Yes,
jays.
you are
You
gonna
will
see
see
I am gonna see
bluebirds.
bluebirds in the winter. They
You
don't
can see bluebirds in the winter.
They don't migrate.
They are year-round residents in our area.
Okay, that's
Did
what
it
confused
go
me.
all the way?
You know, farther north, they migrate. But here in our area, they are year-round.
So they're not gonna be in nesting boxes though, because that's for nesting.
Well,
They're gonna live elsewhere.
bluebirds
shelter?
will cluster in a nest
Really?
when it gets really cold and share body heat.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
So I mean, you'll get a bunch of them
yeah.
in the boxes. So yeah,
Oh.
And I have blue jays year round too.
I was looking at the map on the front of the book there, and is that a walking trail to see all those nests, or? do we
no,
have to see
it's
it?
not a
Okay.
walking trail.
That is a trail I pulled off the, Wyandotte County Lake is full of trails,
Okay.
full of trails.
It's a
But
Um,
yeah, we
And our nests
drive
are,
around
You can
and
see the
yeah,
boxes.
we're closer to the road.
But you can see.
there
them.
Yeah.
there are
Oh,
some
okay.
Yeah.
shelters where you can walk from one nest to another.
That'd be a nice walk.
But
That'd be a nice
yeah,
walk.
Kelly?
I think the western side's a little more walk friendly.
To this lady's question about the bluebirds in winter, like she said, if you have a heated bird bath,
bird bath.
you're gonna see bluebirds most likely coming to that water.
That's what you
And
do.
you can bring them to your backyard feeder in the winter with suet that has fruit berries in it. The kernels of the sunflowers, so if it's been shelled,
Okay.
they'll eat that. You can put out grapes for them. You can put out
Raisins.
raisins, currants.
Mealworms.
If you have sumac growing around your yard, they will eat the sumac berries. They will eat dogwood berries. So if you have trees that hold their berries, or shrubs that hold the berries during winter, they will come in.
This is the master naturalist plug for planting natives.
Yes, plant natives.
Well, thank you both for this excellent training. Really put a lot of time and effort into it. And I'm sure if you have any questions afterwards, they'll be glad to answer it. And just wanted to mention that next month, on Thursday, October 3rd at 11:30, we will have tree risk assessment by Tyler Fike, so you're encouraged to come back for
All my trees are at risk.
this.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys.